So this is a card placement action selection kind of game. And so it is basically you are creating a neighborhood and trying to get the most victory points out of that neighborhood.
Yeah, we might have been influenced on picking this pick by our top 10 list the other day with Nick and Vic.
Did we?
Yes, remember this was one of them that is getting reprinted. It was on Vic's
Hamburg.
list.
Oh, is that why I didn't even know that when I chose it, guys?
Oh, it was coincidental then.
So anyway, if you'd like to see more of our game reviews, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We would love to have you.
Real close. You were almost there.
Next time. You got it.
But again, we would like to see you guys again. Let's move on.
Hit those buttons.
Hit those buttons. All the buttons. All the buttons.
All those buttons.
Hey, can you put a red button like right here? Just put a red button.
Why a red button?
Because
Red
that
button
way
right
people will want to
there.
press it. Anyway, all right. So quality of pieces. You have meeples that are shaped like actual people with cloaks, not
with no
meeples.
arms.
Yeah, no arms.
Well,
but
it's because
they have
they're wearing
clothes.
a cloak.
Are they?
Yes. It's definitely a cloak or really baggy pants. One of the other two options.
I think it's
That
Grimace with a
That
head
starts at
growing
their
out.
neck. So
Yeah. And the card quality is actually pretty. It does have some texture.
Yeah, it's a little bit
texture.
of a linen finish to it.
Yeah.
They're okay.
They're not bad.
They're above standard, but not like great. Then you also have wooden dice, some bigger meeples.
You have
and
card shoes that don't really work very well.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan.
Particularly one of them. Ours is
One
kind
of them's really bad. And then you have some. That's
Other
pretty much
cardboard
it.
chips.
Yeah, the board is a little bowed in the middle.
Mhm.
When where the crease is, and it causes when you first put it down anyway, some of the tokens to move around when you're trying to lay them.
Oh, and your first player standy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We didn't use the money tokens because they're just cardboard, but we played with our victory point money tokens.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because that's the thing we do.
Yep.
So give it a score, guys. What did you think?
Nothing too terribly impressive.
No, I mean,
I'd say-
because of the cards, I'll probably give it a 6.
I was going to say a 6 because I mean, even though the one card holder isn't the best, it's still nice that they came up with an idea to organize the cards like that. So I'd
Yeah,
give it a 6.
I think a 6 is adequate for this game. Your thoughts, Randy?
Nick, he's the
I
first
was
one
the
to say
first
it.
one that said 6.
Oh, I wasn't.
You all copied off me.
That sounds about right. All right, so moving on to theme. Basically, you're trying to create a neighborhood with a bunch of different people, and each person has a different ability. So, theme-wise, what did you guys think?
I think the art on the board is really nice. I think the art on the cards is pretty good. It's not great, but it's still pretty good. I mean, not photorealistic pictures, but they look pretty cool. You don't know if it's. I think it's just medieval. It's not fantasy based or anything, but everything else is pretty pasted on.
Yeah, there's almost there. Well, actually, there is no story. There's no backstory at all in this game. It's just straight into gameplay or like setup of the game as soon as you turn to the first page.
I mean,
I mean, it's a dry Euro.
Yeah,
So-
it is a dry Euro. But I do think there's a little bit of element. They were consistent, especially with the theme and the art.
The art is
I'm
the
going to
theme.
give this one probably a 6.5.
I agree with that. 6.5.
I'm going to be different and just go 6. Pure 6.
Okay.
Because I don't see the half.
And that's okay.
That's fine.
That's fine. All right, so moving on to rules. This is not the first time we've played it, but it's been a while. So Randy reread the rules.
But I think we picked up on it pretty darn
Yeah,
quick.
it's
it's
not
pretty
hard to
straightforward.
play. I mean, the rule book is actually set up really nice. It's got color schemes to separate each section for each phase of the round.
Other than the lack of the sidebar, it almost looks like an Aaliyah book.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Yeah,
And I
think-
love the cheat
I agree.
sheets. The
And
cheat
you've got a
sheets.
cheat sheet for the cards if you need it, but we never really needed
Yeah,
it.
didn't you?
And they got little card cheat sheets, which are really
Or
nice,
perfect.
showing you the actions.
Mm-hmm.
They've got one on the other side showing the round phases, final scoring on one. It's exactly what you need to play the game. And they even threw in a setup card if you want just quick setup to remind you what everybody gets to start
Yeah,
the game.
I
I thought that was really
Yeah,
nice.
I honestly think if we play it, you know, within the next year, we just need to look at the cards.
Yeah.
You know, if it's
You're
another.
asking a lot.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I think those cards will supplement it, and for me, that's a huge thing.
It's a huge
for
plus.
me. So for me, I'm gonna give it a 9 just because I have those cards exactly what I need. I didn't need anything else, and that's the way I like it. So
I mean, given the fact that we haven't played this in a while, it took me like 5 minutes or less to read through the rules to everybody who actually paid attention.
hey, I just needed the cheat sheet.
And I can't give it any fault. I think it's a 10. I mean,
I agree.
It's
I
not,
thought a 10 was...
it's not like reserved 10 is not just reserved for all the really funny books.
Right.
I mean, this one doesn't have any humor in it, but it does its job. It teaches you the game super
does
quick.
the job, so.
And there's no confusion. Nobody had any questions about the rules. There's some cards people asked about, but that was, you know,
any game.
Yeah, any game.
Well, heck, I'm going to bump mine up then. I feel bad giving it a 9. So moving on to gameplay, there's some really interesting things. So first off, the starting player begins the, I don't want to say drafting because you get the choice of 1 or 2 and you only know the colors, not necessarily what's on the other side of the card. And you draw up your hand up to 5. It goes around the table. And then you roll the dice. Upon rolling the dice, you decide if you want to spend the money of the 1s and the 2s to increase your reputation. And then gameplay starts.
Well,
so
5s and 6s.
5 and 6s give you threats, and upon getting three threats of a particular color, then a negative thing happens,
right,
which you'll find on your cheat sheet.
Each color is a little different.
Yeah. You can get threats in other ways. Cards, you also can get them taken away by cards. So let's moving on to those card actions. So you play a card every turn to do an action. There are several different actions. One is to trade in a card for meeples, trading in a card for the money on the pips on the die, trading one to remove a threat, or trading one to be able to purchase part of your canal. Which at the end gives you victory points if you complete or get to a certain portion of the canal. Or you can create a building with it if you discard a person with it. Or the option is to actually play the face up portion of it, which gives you special abilities, instant, long-term, the infinity sign all the time.
But they cost coin. Yeah.
But it does cost coin to be able to do that. So those are the different actions that you kind of see. And like I said, these cards give you a bunch of different abilities, which obviously I particularly liked. I like that.
They're also worth victory points.
Yeah, they're also worth victory points. So this game, although very straightforward, there is some complexity to it in the fact of, okay, how do I use my cards? Do I want to keep this card to be able to play it, or do I not?
Well, you play 4 of the 5 cards because you get 5 each round.
4 actions.
And after that, after the 4th round of everybody playing, then there is a evaluation for 3 bonus tokens you have at the end of the game. You keep, and whoever has the most, kind of like the longest road in Catan, whoever has the most canals gets to flip their token. Now, if it changes, you still keep the token flipped. So it's just a point in time. You have to have it, so you've met that criteria. Also for having the most people in play, and also for having the highest reputation on the reputation track. Those 3, if you ever reach the highest point, you get to flip your token, and if you've got to be only person to have that criteria when you do it.
Right.
So you can kind of be competitive with your opponents by staying where you're keeping them from getting those to flip.
So I really enjoyed this game. It is very straightforward. It has some complexity to it, but not crazy complex. Other people can play it. I would definitely rate this a medium game. Mm-hmm. Maybe even light to medium, depending on your player group with how much experience they do have. And I really enjoyed it. I'm trying to figure out why we haven't played it more. Because it is a really good game.
I think I know the answer to that. 3,000 games.
Yeah, but we've played games multiple times that I didn't even like, so...
There is an element of take that to the game, though. So there are ways to steal money from your opponents. There's ways to steal workers from your opponents. By giving them threat tokens, you can make them kill off people. There are ways.
Yeah. And this is...
And you mentioned, as far as a Stefan Feld game, it's probably the most brutal.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen another Stefan Feld game that has any kind of attack other than just strategically taking things that
Right.
might
I mean,
impact
just
other
worker
players.
placement blocking
Yeah.
type things, but not true tension of take that element
Yeah.
like this has got.
Yeah, I mean, and I always have a habit of not playing that portion, but there were opportunities at the very beginning that, it's just not the kind of take that is not the game I like to play typically. So that's why I know we kind of veer away from it compared to.
Well, we did. Someone else did not.
Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate you.
I still lost, so quit your whining.
So, by a point. Don't get
A
all.
point and 2 coin. I really hoped we would have tied, and I could have beat you just by the 2 coin.
All right, guys, let's give it a
I
score.
lost by 4, so it still was a pretty tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty tight game. So, give it a score, guys.
I think I'd give it an 8. I think it's a solid game. It's not my favorite Stefan Feld game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a good game.
From the standpoint that it's more accessible it's easier to learn this than like Trajan or any of his. I mean, Castles of Burgundy, even it's easier than that.
Yeah, I can see
I
that.
think I'm going to go ahead and give this one an 8.5 just from the ease of just getting it to the table and learning it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not difficult at all, but yet it still gives you a lot of the Feld feeling. It's not as
It definitely feels like a Feld
it's
game.
not as in depth by any means as
Right.
Trajan or even Burgundy, but I didn't expect it to be. But it still captures that fun, and I can get it to the table quickly.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate that.
But it's got a little bit of his point salad mechanics that you like so much, so I can definitely see you liking it.
Yeah, it's not a real high scoring.
Not
game.
really, but it's got multiple lanes of scoring. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to give this an 8 as well. I think it's a good game. I think it's a solid game. I'm bummed that we haven't pulled this out more.
Right.
So definitely 8.
So statistically, and the information about the game, it came out in 2013, so it's pretty old. But as Randy mentioned, it's getting reprinted. It was on Kickstarter. They're doing a lot of the Stefan Feld games under different titles, but it's basically the same game with new artwork. So I think Nick said it was Hamburg is the new one coming out. The BGG rating is 7.4. Now this version of the game is out of print. I did look at a couple different places. Geek Market, there's a couple of different people selling it between $60 to $88. Amazon had a copy for $175, so I'm going to buy that one. Designer, Stefan Feld, one of our favorite designers of board games. We really like his stuff. The art's by Michael Menzel, published by Z-Man Games.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
It's one I'm definitely glad I bought it for my collection before it went out of print. So.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We had a great time and hope you'd like to join us again. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.